secure the perimeter along the bank before we begin repairs on the tunnel structure itself. See this section here. Marvelous day for a promenade along the Spree. Indeed, the sun favors us this afternoon,